Okay, we'll go ahead and call the Transaction Use Tax Review Committee to order, May 4th at 5:30. So welcome. We have two missing folks so far. Al and Rich are both not here at this point, but we do still have a quorum, so we can go ahead and proceed with it. So,
yeah.
Pam?
Mr. Chair, if I could speak, if everybody needs to speak closer to the microphone in order to be able to capture the sound.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah. So thank you guys for coming. I thought just give you some background tonight and kind of an overview of where we are. So really tonight's just Dan's here for Public Works as well. It's a good night to ask questions. And again, we haven't even put together the draft budget yet, but you can kind of see the whole list of things we're thinking about. So I don't know if you guys had a chance to read through the packet. I can go through some things pretty quickly. It's kind of up to you guys. You know, the first item was this kind of long range financial forecast. This came to council a week ago, or not a week ago, last council meeting a couple of weeks ago. And we've started doing this last couple of years. We kind of look at the general fund over the next 5 years. So takes out wastewater and any dedicated funds and just says, how do we look with revenue and expenses kind of as they are? And again, some of these things really maybe don't have to do with Measure P as much, but they're good to understand. One of the big things that we have done over the last couple of years is we've been trying to get our unfunded pension liabilities under control. And so under the state pension system, there's two classes. There's they tend to be older employees that are under the classic plan. And then there's a newer plan called PEPRA. Under PEPRA, the employees pay half of the pension cost. Under the older plan, the city paid much more, and people could retire earlier with a larger percentage of their salary. And it was kind of unsustainable for the state. And every year, CalPERS announce what their investment returns are. And then they come up with your pension costs as a city. Those are your normal costs. And then based on the investment returns, if they aren't what they expected them to be, they have an unfunded part of the pension and they just send that bill to cities. So if investment returns are good, and it's very complicated. It's kind of amortized over 30 years. And so every year there's like a new 30-year mortgage and they all get added together. And a lot of it has to do with how long people live. So there's a big amortization schedule. But what we've done is in our union agreements, we've negotiated for the classic employees to contribute more towards their retirement. A lot of our unfunded liability is from people who retired years ago, no longer work with the city. But this curve a couple of years ago was going up much quicker and it's bending down and it's become almost flat. And so I think what we'll see over the next several years is it'll start to bend down. And again, it's going to take 30 years to pay it off, but that's what you want to see, is it kind of going down. So this is a big chunk of our general fund, which is why I'm spending so much time talking about it. You guys have any questions about pensions?
As a state retiree, I understand.
Yeah. And then the other thing that's hitting our budget is, the county over the last several years has been assigning more and more cost to cities. And the county's budget is like $100 million versus, $3 million. So it's very hard for us to absorb costs, and we don't really get a lot of warning necessarily either. So you can see from 2022 is about $100,000. It's up over $200,000 in the last couple of years. And again, it's just a hard thing. And a lot of it hits public safety. So it's been our police dispatch services are the blue section, and then animal control is the red section. And then the rest of this report, there were like 4 different scenarios. And again, and I said this to council, is not to panic council. This would be if we continue to do capital projects, we would basically run a deficit every year. And what the city has done historically is deferred a lot of projects so it doesn't have a deficit, and we could continue to do that. But at some point, it catches up to you, and you have all this deferred maintenance and projects you never get to. So this is kind of what we call the base case, and again, it showed deficits. We made a proposal to Amador City to provide police services to them. It would include their dispatch fees to the county. And so total was $100,000, but it would really be about $85,000 to us after the dispatch. And so even that small amount of additional revenue, has a noticeable effect on our deficit spending, if you will. And then you may have heard that we've been approached by a cannabis dispensary. This, made some what we felt were conservative assumptions, and shows again that even a little bit, this was without, I think these were looked at independently. So without Amador City, but with the dispensary, we would start to build up a reserve if they were, moderately successful versus what they're saying they could do. And then this last one would be if nothing happened and we just deferred projects again, and we would essentially be a break even. And so I was just to say, we can manage the budget. We can decide which projects we do, which projects we don't do. Yeah, so that was kind of it for the long range forecast. Did you guys have any questions about any of that?
No, it was very helpful to have that though. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
And then you guys are seeing this one before council. They're going to see this tonight. And I hope you guys have the reports, because I didn't put all the detailed projects on here.
Yeah.
But again, as a reminder, there was the actual resolution and ballot language of what Measure P was when it was passed. And we've been talking a lot about streets, sidewalks, storm drains. The measure did include managing for fire prevention, kind of mostly that'd be vegetation management, public safety. Also said we would try to support our local businesses, and that we would also look at if we need matching funds for a grant. That would be another possible use of these funds. And then, so you saw a bunch of projects. We kind of put them in categories. There was streets and sidewalks, some park improvements, some code enforcement, and public safety. And I'm not suggesting that we do all of these projects, but if we did do all of the projects, again, because you guys approved one small project this year, which was taking advantage of the AWA work and paying for some extra paving. That project, they've had some issues with their contractor. So we haven't actually spent that money, so we would just roll it over. So that's the $40,000 would be the money from this year that would go into next year. I mean, we are going to have to pay them at some point. But we could potentially do all of the projects on that list with the money reserved from this year. And then we would take all the money from next year and reserve that. And that money comes in throughout the year. So we don't actually have it till the end of next year, till June of 27 anyways. But, even I think our ability to do all those projects in a year is questionable.
Mhm.
And we really wanted to hear your feedback. If you thought we marked specifically projects we thought would fall under those conditions for, qualifying for TUT. But if you have some opinions about whether you think they do or don't, we'd love to hear those. And also just kind of the priorities.
Mhm.
Tom, I had a question with regards to the David Drive amendments.
Yeah.
Was that a city project, or was that contracted out, or was it a mistake in the implementation of that, or how did we get where we are?
I think yes to all of those. No,
Okay.
at least the first two questions.
Yeah. So what happened on that one was the gutter actually lifted off the ground, and then it caused water to go instead of into the gutter, go onto the road. And so once it did that, it started eroding away the asphalt in front of the people's driveways. As they kept driving, it got bigger and bigger and bigger. We got a contractor to fix the drainage, so there's no more water on the road. Now we just need to fix the asphalt. That's the last piece of it. So we did half of it. We're going to come back and do the other half. The problem with it is we want to do it with another project, because when you just do asphalt on its own, if you don't do it with a bigger project, you just get killed in the mobilization costs and all that other stuff. So it's better if we lump them in with a couple more projects. So like if we were doing Sutter Hill Road, if they have a little extra asphalt, we just move over to the other place and then we save a lot on costs. So
Okay, thank you.
It's not a road we would have picked, right? It's, not
yeah,
highway
there's
traffic
only
or
like
anything.
5 people that are affected by, or 5 households that are affected by it. So it's not a high, you're not going to hear about it from a lot of people. But it
Okay.
is a real problem that we need to address.
Okay, thank you.
Starting with streets, can you explain the rescue subdivision sidewalks?
Yeah, so that's sidewalk lifts. The company went through and did a little survey to figure out like if, any of the sidewalks lifted up. And so if they're above a certain, fraction of an inch, then it becomes an ADA issue. And so we want to grind those down and make them flat.
And then where's Mary's?
I asked where Mare Street was too.
And I had asked to.
Yeah. So Mare Street is over, kind of, how to
Post office?
describe it. Yeah, kind of back over there, back behind there.
Yeah.
And so it's only like got 7, 8 houses on it. The top landing to it is almost destroyed. I mean, I would call it asphalt, but it's more like rubble. The driveways are all really nice. And so at one point, the owners of the houses were going to help us. They were going to repave their driveway and we were going to add on to that project. That didn't happen last summer. So we pushed it to the next summer. We also have some wastewater lines underneath there that kind of go under the road that are falling apart. So we could get all of those. That's also another candidate for the new county, has a paver. So it might be one of those that it's best for them to just come and pave that whole area. We haven't seen them do that yet. So that's kind of in the works right now. They're starting to practice. I think they're going to practice in a month or so. I don't exactly remember.
It's the new equipment they got
That's
like
the new equipment. Yeah.
last week or 2 weeks ago or something.
So they're looking for very low traffic roads. So that's a prime candidate for it.
It's not entirely clear how it's going to work. I think we'll still have to go out for a public bid, and then if they're the low bidder, then we could use them. I mean, yes, but it's not solely pavement condition. It's also traffic and several other factors, right? Used to go to schools and things. So it could be rubble, but if there's one house on it, it might not score as high as Spanish Street. But
Okay. Under first. Yeah, number 4 wires, I don't know. If this is
sorry, say it again.
you have 2 number 4 priorities.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, it's probably a mistake.
And I would just suggest for optics reasons, I would say replace Eric's vehicle.
No.
There's better way to, that, I didn't want to ask about vehicle. So the public works employees are still taking home vehicles.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Yes.
At one point, there was a discussion about taking a look at that policy.
Not really, no.
Obviously that goes to maintenance and upkeep and now gas prices. Everything.
Yeah.
Other things.
I mean, I said no. It was part of the MOU discussion. It is. And exchange, there was a lot of discussion about 24-hour standby pay and stuff, and we didn't do that, but they have the vehicles.
Then my other question was a bit off, but it's the same thing, is there was also a look at that benefit being reported for tax purposes. requirement, and I don't know whatever happened with that, but my understanding that Mason took a look at it, and we were supposed to be reporting that as a taxable benefit, but just that, so.
Okay, I'll make a note of that one.
um,
And again, if the main ones, if you could look at the ones that are TUT eligible.
Mhm.
I mean, we didn't really talk about this creek project yet, you know?
I had questions about that one. What does that entail? It just seems like a lot of money to not understand why it's needed
Yeah, so
and
the creek project is kind of a monster. So
Make it
we have a creek permit through the Fish and Game. It all depends on what species we find out there of frogs and birds and whatever. If we find, we have to do all these background reports, and my estimate is 11,000 for just the background reports, just to start. That's not doing any of the work. That's
But
just,
to back up a little bit, a lot of people want this project. So every year we mow down weeds, but we don't really affect if there are trees growing in the creek or. So this is a project to kind of go in and dig things out of the creek.
okay.
And to do that, you have to have all these permits. So
Yeah.
that's kind of
Got
the
it.
background.
yeah.
Okay.
So the question right now before us is whether we need a biologist on site all times or not. If we do need a biologist on site, that's going to severely limit the amount of days that we can be out there.
Right.
If we don't need that, then the project will move a lot smoother. It's just coordination, all that stuff. So yeah, we're trying to, with the $11,000, we're trying to get all the background reports done, figure out exactly the scope, and then we'll know next year or, well, as soon as we get those reports back, we'll be able to look at them and tell how much money we'll need to move forward with 5 days in the creek, 10 days in the creek, you know, whatever it entails. The whole creek. Flushing Dam all the way down to the treatment plant.
You know, because I was just. There was an unresolved issue about who has the responsibility for, you know, that area of the creek, and I know that the city has always taken responsibility. Although
It's not our property, yeah.
it's not our.
Yeah.
And so. I would suggest before you start investing more money that we get a better legal. Because, you know, it's.
I think we felt, yeah,
A large part of the work that's been done is in the area where there is city property, so right along here, you know, Second Bridge.
Mhm.
But. You know, are we putting ourselves in a position where we're establishing precedent for huge liability for that creek property? That's not, it's really not city property. And so,
Yeah, that'd be a question for Derek, I'm sure.
yeah,
and we have kind of taken the position that, again, it's kind of it's in the benefit of all the residents and these individual landowners couldn't all go to Fish and Game and get this kind of permit. And if a fire ever came through town, you know, it's a path that just goes,
and then you're also, you know, you have liability issues too. So you're working on that. So you're going out and getting.
I mean, that would probably be the way to go, just to get them to sign off.
No, it may be that the city just decides that they want to do that, but it just seems like that issue has always just been kind of, you know, tossed aside and it's just not getting any cheaper. Well, so.
Especially if we lose the crew, it would be
Yeah.
catastrophic for us.
All right. I mean, the other issue are logs and flooding, you know, and again, the logs pile up in somebody's property and then the city floods.
Yeah,
Um,
no, but it's never really, I think it's worth it. Okay, I have one other final question about, under public safety.
Mhm.
I noticed The first priority is license plate readers and facial recognition. And what, could you explain a little bit about also the license plate reader technologies? That's something that's in the cars and we can read from.
No, a lot of cities, and you might have heard Flock is one of the companies that's been in the news a lot. These are usually stationary cameras mounted at entrances and exits to cities. And they can recognize license plate numbers. They can be set up so they don't photograph people, just the license plates. But they're also networked together. So if somebody in Calaveras County reports a stolen car with a license plate number, it can be detected here, flag an alert.
Yeah, my in-laws had their vehicle stolen from Placerville, and that's how they located it, was
Yeah.
scanned going on at the freeway.
It's an incredible tool for really small, understaffed police forces.
Yeah.
It gives you a lot of leverage. So again, they're getting more and more of these features, so you can, I haven't seen as much about how that works, but I imagine you feed it a face and it tells you if that person's been seen. Separately, the council had a discussion about surveillance technology, and we're working on a surveillance ordinance that would be in place before we purchase some of this technology.
This is the top.
It is, and there is a mistake on number 2. It's 11,000. It's 55 is the 5-year price. I thought we had cameras in our police cars. Apparently only 2 are working and 4 are broken.
Well, I would just, again, I would suggest if you, as a member of the TUT committee, I don't know how I feel about number 1. I have some questions, and I think that we need to look at the civil liberty and implications of any of that new technology and make sure that people in the city understand it.
The county's already put in like flock cameras in the county.
Well,
Yeah, I'm not arguing for, I'm just saying this isn't a new thing. It's pretty widespread. Yeah. Yeah.
But I'd like to hear from maybe the department about how this is gonna, why the $50,000.
Yeah.
Getting a new car.
I mean, yeah, Chief O'Connell really called it like, an additional officer, and it's like cheaper than an actual officer. I mean, I know we're going to run out of time here, but I
Yeah.
mean, are there any of these that you guys would really pull from the list?
Just to comment on that last issue.
Yeah.
With regards to the smart cameras, license plate readers, those are not only for the kind of things you talked about, but it's a public safety issue. If there's a serious incident over in Calaveras County, we have a suspect on the loose and he ends up over here, our PD is going to be able to find out about that. It's going to show up if that vehicle comes through. So it's a public safety issue, not only for the officers, but for the community as well to know who's here. I'm not that familiar on the facial recognition aspect of it, but again, that can be an officer safety issue if you know who that suspect is, who that subject is you're confronting, and turns out he's got a warrant for some pretty heinous crime somewhere else. It's an officer safety, but I also understand the problematic aspects of facial recognition as well.
Made very clear that, what you made. Again, and then who's monitoring this stuff? So it gives you a lot of information, but you have the body to do monitoring to get into it. So I just feel like I like them.
Yeah. And that was part of this other ordinance would be who has access, for what reason, how long is the data stored? Is it stored securely?
Wendy?
I would just say in regards to recommendations, I personally think it's exciting that we have this much funds available, and seeing as many projects get implemented, of course, within your, that you're able to do that. But, I would like to see at least top 5 priorities maybe from each category, or I know some of them only had a couple, but I just think that the community members voted for it, and I think it would be beneficial to see that we're, moving forward with expending funds and getting projects. So that would be my recommendations. I didn't really have much thought about code enforcement, but I know we're running out of time. So those were my low priority, but I had definitely like the top 6 for roads. Of course, police department. And then hearing what you said about the creek, if that's very beneficial. But, I just think being able to do as many projects within your time frame, of course, would be.
I'm very pleased with having the spread of the funding. That I think it's important for the community to see that. And I think you did a very good job of putting that together. One of the things that was mentioned at the end of this was whether or not we do fewer projects and put some more into reserve. And I think that's always prudent. Really don't know what's going to pop up. You could have vehicle accidents, you could have a number of different things that are going to take things out of line. So I think it's a good idea to at least have an attempt at narrowing down the list of priorities to a point where there is some monies going into the reserve.
Is there a number you guys feel like we should aim for?
Well, the total, Tom, is what, 588,000? That's what we're receiving.
Hang on a second.
Do we have the total number here somewhere? I
A
think we do.
little bit more than that.
588,000
549.
So 588
less.
sorry. So we were expecting 606,000 this coming year.
Okay.
Me? And I don't know, I'm assuming there's probably gonna be another meeting in this group with the.
Yeah.
It would be easier for me to talk about a number, when we get, a more finalized budget.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of great direction. Just, I mean, at the level you gave it, think about reserving more, focus on the top projects.
Mhm.
That's kind of what we're looking for at this point. So,
I said I had problems with, but I would say my number one top priority would be concerned.
mhm.
Yeah,
Agree.
that actually went out for bid, so it's going to happen last Friday.
Great. Yeah. So the plan is, we'll get the draft budget and we'll call you guys again once there's a budget to react to. But thank you guys for coming tonight, and feel free to reach out if you have questions on any of this stuff.
Appreciate it, Tom, and everybody. Dan, Pat, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Pam, I'm sorry.
Oh, you. Anything to work.
Come on, Center. Good to see you here. I had a feeling it'll be your next one.
Funny, I can't believe it's not already in here. I can't believe it's not already in here, like,
Yeah.
is that a 0? Yes. Cool, thank you. There we go. Is that Sutter being secure? That one works up here. So it's like Sutter. Sutter Creek. Sutter Creek rocks, but R is R0 CK and then a dollar sign. Yeah, all lower. Zero. R0 CK dollar sign.
That's been that way for a while.
Has it been that way? Okay.
Sean Rebay.
I was gonna say, I think I remember that. Long ago.
2012, I think.
He was 2012. Wow.
Yeah, I think